Everybody, Tim here with today's review of Doctor Who story number 161, Rose. Here it is. It's been a long time coming. The season 1, episode 1. I don't know, it's weird. I think I'm going to keep going with just the story numbers rather than actually breaking it up into the season episode, because I mean there's a lot of specials and stuff like that. So for me it's just kind of easier to keep track, and that's also how I already have it listed. So it's a little bit weird. I'm going to try, as most of you know, if you've watched any of my other Doctor Who videos, I'm a little cynical, but I mean, I feel like I'm just kind of being honest. And I mean, this is my channel, so I just kind of do my reviews. But I mean, I do like Doctor Who, even though, I mean, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have done over 160 reviews at this point. So I do really like it, even though if it does seem like I kind of complain a lot. That being said, it's a little bit weird for me because for most people today, this is their first introduction to Doctor Who. This is it. This is where they started. And I know a lot of people out there who have watched the new Who and then gone back and seen the original stuff. And I know a lot of people who are the exact opposite, where they start the new Who, they start with 9, and they're like, nope, that stuff is way too old. I don't care. It's all black and white, and most of it's missing. That's not even true. Why? But I've talked to people, because I do a lot of interviews, and I just talk to people because I like to talk. And I've met people who are like, I don't watch anything younger or older than I am. Your life must be really boring. I'm sorry. But so it's kind of difficult. It's going to be interesting to kind of do some of these reviews. So I'm super excited to do them, though. All of that being said, the character of Rose, I don't like. I'm not a big fan of her. So this came out in March of 2005. So it's been 9 years since the movie. And I'm really curious, for anybody who remembers when the movie came out, who remembers after Survival, in that gray area from 1989 to 96 and from 96 to 2005, what it was kind of like. And I'm really kind of curious what you guys think of its first debut. So I'll tell you right now, the camera style is very interesting. It's all about the lighting, which again, you start watching it and you're like, oh yeah, this is very British. You can just boop, got it, okay. Just because of the camera techniques, it's different. It's not wrong, but it's different. The doctor, his first thing is grabbing Rose's hand and telling her to run. And I've read some things online where it was supposedly oh, they did that because in the original series, the doctor was never allowed to touch the companions because there could be no sort of romantic involvement. And this was their way of just throwing it out the window. The same way, whereas this is the first technical Doctor Who episode to say the word gay and legitimately make a homosexual reference. And it's when he picks up the magazine and he's like, oh, he's gay and she's an alien. So stuff like that. So they're clearly just nope, this is a brand new era. This is a brand new century. Out with the old. Here's how we're doing it. And I'm totally fine with that. The main villain is, they never say it, which I thought was interesting, is the Autons, who made, 2 appearances in the original series. They're the ones who ushered in the 3rd Doctor. So I think it's interesting that the 3rd Doctor and the 9th Doctor both came in with the same alien. I really liked that. When Rose is looking up the Doctor and she goes to Clive's house, I love the little kid. And he's like, Dad, it's one of your nuttas. And it's it's brilliant. Just another day, whatever. Him going through stuff, I really liked the Dr. Kennedy reference. And again, that's one of those little details where somebody watching it, not going to get it. They're not going to know anything about it. But going back to the original premiere of Doctor Who and the Unearthly Child, the Doctor and the Kennedy assassination have a very close tie together. They go hand in hand. So him showing the 9th Doctor there at the assassination is a great reference. I don't like Mickey. I find him super annoying. And again, one of those, it's the first episode and they probably didn't have a lot of money, but when he's getting eaten by the garbage can, I didn't like it. And then when he comes out and he's all plastic, I don't know. I get what they're going for. And again, when Doctor Who first came out, it was made for kids. And this story felt very more like a younger audience rather than like an adult audience. So, I mean, realistically, that's who they're going for, and it makes sense. But it wasn't working for me personally. I thought it was too over the top. And it kind of used a weird film technique that I didn't like, where they're sitting at the dinner and he keeps stuttering, and every time he does it, the camera changes. And for us watching it, like, that's cool. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. He's like stuttering in the camera. Now, imagine from Rose's perspective, like, it wouldn't look as good. It only worked because the camera kept changing. So stuff like that kind of bugged me. So I wasn't a big fan of that. When they finally go inside the TARDIS, it's massive. It is so big, but it looks really good. I'm so down for that. I'm American, obviously. And so when people start talking about accents, I'll be honest, when I watch British shows, I don't notice most of the accents. And so when she's like, if you're an alien, why do you sound like you're from the North? And he's like, well, a lot of places have North. And I'm like, okay, I guess he's kind of different. But to me, he doesn't sound like, I wouldn't have, like, that's where he's from. So I think that's kind of interesting. But then again, on the same side, like, I assume, like, a lot of other countries, like, I can tell, if I hear somebody talk, I can tell you from what part of the country of America you're from. And I don't know if most other countries can do that. So maybe it's kind of the same thing. So we got that. I love where she's like, well, what is this? Where if you go back to those early Doctor Who's, as the series kept going, you could see them like phase out of the police boxes. And they're like, oh, that's old. That's kind of retired. And Rose is like, I don't even know what that is. And so it was kind of funny. And he's like, it's from the 50s. It's a disguise. I was like, that's pretty good. I love it. We see the eye, the giant wheel. The Doctor talks about fighting in the war, and so that's kind of those first few hints of like the big, like what happened between 8 and 9. So I'm really liking that. When the mall comes alive and you start seeing all the Autons, like especially doing the finger thing, which is a great reference to their first appearance, stuff like that. It was terrifying, but it worked really well. I mean, I still love the movie Mannequin, but whatever, different story. And then it's really good up until that end point where the Doctor's like, do you want to come with me? And she's like, no. And he's like, okay, are you sure? And Rose is like, let's do it. And she leaves her boyfriend. And it's like, I don't know, that annoyed me. Like, if I was Mickey, I'd be pissed. So that whole thing just kind of bugged me a lot. The whole, like, she just abandons everything to run off with the Doctor. So I am super excited to finally start The New Who. I'm super excited for this story. I'm not a huge fan of it. To me, it is kind of mediocre, but I do know that it builds. So, curious what you guys think. Go ahead, let me know, and I will see you guys next time for the end of the world.